Hey y'all, this is the driver. So we have a new load out of Billings, Montana. Unfortunately, there was no loads there where we were at. So I cruised over here and had a nice little 300-mile trip for us. And I got over here, and for some odd reason it was gone. Um, but they had this. So we got us a load of cattle, and we're going out to Cody, Wyoming with this. So nice little easy ride. It's not too as heavy as the last load, only 34,000 pounds, which is unheard of in the real world hauling cattle. But anyhow, with that being said, we're going to go ahead and start cruising. Don't know if we'll have really much time for a story, but I did have a question in my comments concerning some of the various loads and specialty type stuff, and I had made a mention of hotshot vehicles. So we're going to be discussing hotshots today and kind of what they are and what they do type stuff. So let's get on the road first and get moving here. And wrong turns that way. We have a little more power. We can go faster. So, like I said, this trip probably won't take very long. We'll go ahead and get cruising here. Watch idiots real quick. Let's get on the interstate and then we'll start chit chat. On my way over here, I did pull in the parking lot and discovered this garage here, but I decided to wait on purchasing it because I still got some other garages that need trucks. So it's not that I have a short of income, but you know, I'd rather fill them first. Always buy them online, but it's nice to be able to just pull up and discover them. So, like a stay green? Right. Turned here, and then we got to get on the interstate. Get up to cruising speed here and we'll kind of ride along for a bit. We'll run about, we'll do our usual 5 over if we're able to. So, back to what hotshots are. Hotshots here in the U.S., they're almost kind of like their own little diverse group. Nothing crazy, nothing really wild or special about hotshots. It's just a different way of making revenue. Hotshots can be cargo vans. You may see a lot of them running around town delivering, packages to people. Could be like your Amazon deliveries or similar to FedEx, but they're contracted out. Those kind of guys vary. Some of them they own their vans and some don't. The ones that own their own vans are usually contracted to a specific carrier or to a specific group system, we'll call it. They kind of just work hand in hand with something else. And we're not going to fool with the scale, it ain't that heavy. The other kind of hot shot is ran in a pickup truck. It's typically a 3/4 or 1 ton, depending upon where you're at. That's usually like a 250 or 350 or 2500, 3500, and it can go up a little bit bigger, up all the way into a 7500. And those guys typically pull their own trailer. They'll have what they call is like a flatbed gooseneck trailer. Any of you guys that follow me that play farm sim, I'm sure you've seen those trailers. And those guys haul any kind of freight that's basically the same freight that would be hauled on a full-size semi-truck, but it's not a full load. So they ship it on something like that. Sometimes it's because they need it a little bit faster, or they just don't want to pay for a full semi-truck load. And then and sometimes they also, like I said, they're also contractors too. Some of them own their own trucks, some of them don't. So it just kind of varies on a lot of that stuff there. Now, the kind of hotshot work that I did that I was speaking about was in the camper division, and same style pickup truck. And what it was, I would pull brand new travel trailers, campers, RV fifth wheels, in all your versions you could think of. Now, those are usually, oh crap, I am speeding like crazy, aren't I? Slow down a little bit here. Um, so for example, when I would take a trip out, I would leave the Indiana area. That's where almost, I think it's, well, at one time it was about 80% of RVs that were built there. I think that number's changed over the years. So, but I would pick up in Indiana, and I would go to various places throughout the whole 48 states. So let's get up to speed again here, guys. I'm sorry for that. And so I would pick up there. And so, for example, if I decided to take a trip, and they had various loads, most of the time you were able to choose what you wanted. It was what they call no force dispatch. And you could kind of just pick and choose your loads where you wanted to go. And it was just all based upon what they had available for you. Planes here. So I would take a load, for example, to Montana. We're currently in Montana, so it just kind of fits. And when I took a load to Montana, you gonna wait, car? And sorry about all the distractions. So I would take a load to Montana, and it would be a travel trailer or a fifth wheel camper. I would get paid a set mileage pay for the amount of miles that is supposed to be that trip. There was always discrepancies in the mileages, but it was still pay. And it was pretty close. I would go to a RV dealership, so think of it like a Ford dealership or a Chevrolet dealership or something like that. And I would deliver it to them. I would go through paperwork and things like that, get signatures, and they would make sure that there was nothing wrong with the unit itself. They would check to make sure that the driver didn't damage it in transit, and also that it didn't have any factory flaws in it. Sometimes those check-ins were a little lengthy. I've gotten in and out of places in under 15 minutes, and then other times I've gotten stuck there for hours. So it just kind of varies upon, where you're going and how their procedures work. So the downside was I got paid to go out there. Very, very, and I mean very rarely, did you ever get a load coming back. Most time you drove back on your dime. So there was that downside to it, but the pay was decent enough to do it even without the backhaul. And that's what we call a backhaul, is the load coming back. So out of all the years that I did RV transport as a hotshot driver, I think I got maybe half a dozen, so like 6 or so loads coming back. And I did that for almost 14 years. I think it was more like 12 to 13 years I did that. So it was good money. I got into a part of the business that involved me staying local there in Indiana. And my job there was, I worked for a specific carrier. We had our storage lots, and I would go to the factory where they're built, and I would pick them up and bring them to our yard for our other drivers to pick up. There was 2 reasons behind this. Number one, the factories were very picky on really how many people they wanted coming in and out of their facilities. And also too, they wanted the people that came there knowing what they were doing, so to speak. It's not saying that not everybody couldn't do it, but they wanted people that specialized in picking up from there. When I picked up from there, I was to verify that there was no damage to the unit regardless of any reasons. And if there was any damage, and I was to have to take it with that damage to have it noted. And then I would just take it back to the yard. Most of my trips only took me about, at most, an hour one direction. A lot of times a lot less. And depending upon how far you went, depending upon how much you got paid. Now, just like the over-the-road stuff, which was when you go to Montana or something like that. There was never a backhaul. On occasion, she had service returns or things like that, but you never really got backhauls at big long backhauls like that, so to speak. That's kind of how that business works. Um, so I'm sure you're probably wondering why you would rather do that kind of work in a pickup truck versus a semi truck. Well, if most of your hotshot drivers are doing those in their own trucks. I would only say 25% or less of those folks are independent. So, with that being said, the cost of buying the equipment. So, a semi truck here in the United States ranges approximately, I think about $120,000 is like the cheapest brand new semi truck that you can purchase. You can pick up used ones for pretty cheap. Um, a down around 30,000 or so, depending upon what you're looking for. So that's not the horrible side of it. It's the cost of your maintenance and repairs, and your upkeep and your running cost. So a semi truck is going to have a higher cost on insurance. It's going to use more fuel. The insurance on it's higher, and the cost to make repairs to engine and things like that is sometimes double, if not triple, the cost of versus the pickup truck. Lord, this is taking forever to get through here. Um, the thing that I enjoyed about with doing the work in the pickup truck is when I would go to a place like, for example, the Montana trip. Once you delivered, you're essentially a pickup truck. You're still doing all the legal DOT things as far as driving back, but you're not forbidden from making stops. So if you saw a pretty cool place that you wanted to go see, you could do that. A guy that I worked with, he was notorious about he would take a trip out west, to Wyoming or states that direction. And after he made his delivery, he'd go find somewhere to go camping for a week, just to enjoy life and scenery and things like that. So you have a little bit more flexibility. Um, the only upside of driving it, there's two upsides to driving the semi truck. Semi truck, one, you got a way better chance of getting backhauls. You very rarely run empty. If you're empty, it's just like on here where you're just running over to the next load in town. And also, sleeping arrangements is a way more comfortable in a big truck. And semi truck like these here, these basically have a twin size mattress you can sleep in. In a pickup truck, you have a back seat. So you're either sleeping in a back seat of a truck all scrunched up, or you're forking out the money for a hotel. And when hotels get expensive after a while. So here we are. We are in Cody. I have to say 25 minutes to go 6 miles. Lord. So yeah, guys, that's pretty well the basics there. There's a whole lot more to it, a lot more in depth that I don't really want to get into. It's not that I don't know the ins and outs, because I do, but depending upon where you're at in that industry of the hot shots versus semi trucks, it varies a lot, and a lot of your variations is in cost and availability of work. So, and that's something I'm not going to get into because unfortunately that's ever changing. It changes so much, it's unreal. So yeah, so I hope that made sense to you guys. Don't always believe everything you hear. Do your research if you'd like. Ooh, we are stopped right here. Brakes, 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 brakes. So yeah, if you're curious any more about those kind of divisions and stuff like that, just you can Google search it. You can't believe every single thing you read on the internet, so read several articles, and look into all possibilities, and you can kind of get an idea of the kind of work. If people are more interested in stuff when it comes to hotshot, I might be able to share a little bit more information, but I would have to do some research myself to get current information. Since I quit my job to move home to help my mother, I've been out of the loop for almost 6 months. So, in just a few months, a lot of information can change. So I don't want to steer anybody the wrong direction or give you false information. So, I think we'll leave that subject where it's at for the time being. We're 4 miles. I now know why it said 16 minutes. We're going to hit every red light in town, I think. I mean, every red light. Come on, kids. Have some motors, whip them ponies. Let's do it. Well, that guy's in the wrong lane, apparently, up here. Come on, car. Let's do this. Probably have to make a right-hand turn as well. But we got a couple of curves before we get to there. I think the last 15 minutes of this video is just going to get into town. It is a pretty town, though. I wish we could see this during the day. But we'd have to go to a rest stop, so to speak, and sleep there to just get some daylight. Now that everybody's turned right, maybe they're all getting the right lane. That'll probably bite me in the butt. Well. Have to turn right. It just curves right. Yeah, it's good for us, right? There's Walmart. Here, okay. Stadium. This is one turn. Pole. Okay. They must need the cattle for the rodeo. How about that? We'll go with that idea, right? Okay, so let's see. Back it in over there. Now we'll go for that one. Keep it short and sweet. that one dropped off, see how we did. We ain't hit nothing on the way out, I don't believe. Oh, we got an achievement for Buffalo Bill. I have to look that up. Must be for more cattle hauling or something. But yeah, we did pretty good there. So, all right, guys. Well, I think that's going to pretty much end it right there. We'll step outside and we'll look at the outside for a little bit. We'll hop out the truck. Oh, we're still with our trailer here. Yeah, that was a pretty good run, guys. So I'm going to go ahead and end it here, and we'll see about getting us another load for later. So I will catch y'all later. See ya.